welcome back to Let's Talk Physical Media. I am your host, John, and this is the weekly news show where we talk about all the news in the world of physical media. And this was a pretty crazy news week this week. We got Criterion's November announcements. Is Best Buy coming back to selling physical media? We're getting another Alfred Hitchcock collection, and some more Saws are coming to 4K Blu-ray. But that's not where we're going to start. We're going to start with P-A-R-T-Y, because I gotta. The Mask was hinted at by Arrow Video to be coming I assume 4K Blu-ray, probably sometime in early 2026 if I had to guess. They did another one of those teasers where it's kind of obvious what they're talking about, but it's not definite, but it looks like they're going into the Coco Bonga Club. The doors open, and then there's the coming soon in the Mask font. So to me, it looks like the Mask will be coming to 4K at some point, my guess, in early 2026.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Well, there's been a little bit of an update to this story, actually, because Dawn of the Discs actually leaked what Arrow Video's November announcements are going to be, and it turns out on November 11th, I believe, that is when The Mask will be coming to 4K Blu-ray in an Arrow Morbidly Obese box, which is just awesome, and it's got the original movie poster art, which is just great to see. It's got something from the Edge Tribune, you know, the newspaper in the city. Looks like it's the headline right from the movie, and everything just looks great in my opinion. Now, this is still not official from Arrow Video yet, but these do look like they're going to be the real announcements from Arrow Video, but we'll get more into Arrow Video and the rest of their announcements on next week's show, when they'll probably do their official announcements this upcoming Friday, more than likely, so we'll get into it more then. It looks like we'll have Red Planet and The Apartment also coming to 4K Blu-ray from them, so it looks like November is going to be a nice month from them, but obviously what stands out to me the most is The Mask, one of my all-time favorite comedies, one of the best comic book films of all time. Everything I'm talking about in the rest of this actual video, which we'll get back to in a second. Also looks like it's going to be coming from the original camera negative, which is awesome, and have a new Dolby Atmos track. So it looks like this is going to get the treatment it deserves, like everything, if you're a Mask fan, we could have ever asked for. So this is just phenomenal news in my opinion. And yeah, we'll get more into the specs and stuff next week's show when Arrow Video does the official announcement. So this is still technically not officially official, but all the signs point to this being what it is, and that's awesome. I cannot wait. I absolutely love The Mask,
which is one of my all-time favorite comedies. A lot of you guys know that if you've been watching for the show for a while. Jim Carrey is one of my all-time favorite actors. 1994 was his best year ever, and probably the best year ever for any actor, in my opinion, even if it's a comedic actor. Having Ace Ventura come out in February, The Mask come out in July, and then Dumb and Dumber coming out in December. Now, The Mask and Dumb and Dumber were put out by New Line Cinema, which has a deal now. Well, Warner Brothers owns New Line Cinema, and they have a deal with Arrow Video, and that's why we have been getting the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Spawn on 4K Blu-ray. You guys know that logo. It really sticks out. Also, Mortal Kombat came out from New Line Cinema, so there's a chance that we get the original Mortal Kombat film from Arrow Video, which probably a lot of people don't care about, but a lot of people I think are going to care about The Mask. I know I care about The Mask. This is one of my holy grail releases because it's going to be coming from Arrow Video, who I believe right now are the mountaintop of physical media releases by checking every box when it comes to, you know, the packaging, the audio, the sound, the extras. They give the collector everything they could ever want, and for them to be doing one of my all-time favorite films, yeah, I cannot wait for that. And it's actually pretty funny because last week at my regular Joe job, a customer came in and she's like, "You probably don't remember me." And I was like, "Nah, I really don't." She's like, "Well, I actually used to be one of your teachers before you went into kindergarten." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty cool." Didn't recognize her at all. She recognized me. I guess I stand out in the crowd. And she's like, "You used to be obsessed with that movie with that comedian. I can't remember what it was." And I was like, The Mask, just because when I was a kid, I really was obsessed with The Mask. I was The Mask for Halloween one year. Jim Carrey was my favorite childhood actor. A lot of it was because of The Mask. I've said that Tina Carlisle, played by Cameron Diaz, is one of my first crushes. Me and David did a full episode on the Let's Talk Movie podcast about this, which, of course, I believe is one of our best episodes, so you guys should definitely check that out. I'm just a huge fan of The Mask, so I was super excited to see this teased, and I cannot wait for it to officially get announced and to come out on 4K Blu-ray. This is one of the big ones for me, guys, so I can't wait. But it was still a very crazy news week. Other than that, Best Buy kind of, caught everyone off guard this week by having movies put up on their website, and it got people thinking, is Best Buy coming back to physical media?
So you come crawling back, you cheap sack of shit.
Well, of course, it looks like they are. Well, not really. They are going to be selling some physical media on their websites from like third parties, very similar to what Amazon does. They created a marketplace for people to sell physical media, so it's not going to be coming from Best Buy's warehouse directly or anything like that. But they're trying to create this new online marketplace because if you've seen the inside of Best Buy's, they're pretty stagnant. Not a lot of people are going in there, a little bit empty. They never really replaced the physical media sections that they were so desperate to pull out. Me personally, I will not be supporting Best Buy anymore regardless. When they abandoned physical media last year, that was the final straw for me. I believe they have some of the worst customer service out there. Anytime I had to deal with their customer service, they were just absolutely terrible. It's like pulling teeth to get them to actually do anything. So when they decided to abandon the family and go out for a pack of cigarettes and a carton of milk, I was like, I'm done with them. Even if they come crawling back, I'll kick them to the curb, and that's exactly what I'll be doing, just because I'm not going to accept that. I get it. It's another place for people to buy physical media, and if you want to buy physical media from them, that's cool, but it just kind of feels like anything from Best Buy at this point. A very desperate last-second kind of cash grab, trying to bring more people back, because unfortunately, Best Buy is a failing business. Now, I say unfortunately, even though I just talked all that shit about Best Buy, I don't want to see people lose their jobs, but you can see a falling star from a mile away, and you can definitely tell that Best Buy is like on their last legs, and rightfully so. When you treat your consumers that bad, I can only imagine you treat your employees that bad as well. Just corporate greed at its best. But it's, I'm glad that there will be other options for physical media collectors to buy from. This does not mean the return of their Steelbook exclusives that have ended up like on Amazon or Walmart or nothing like that. Now, this is just them kind of like being able to get a little bit of extra cash by creating an online marketplace. So they're back, but they're not back. And in my opinion, they're not welcome back. But we're going to move on to some more positive news because Criterion gave us their November announcements, and we had a lot of anticipation for this one. We were, we kind of heard drips and drabs about what would be coming out, but we got confirmation. There was one thing I was a little disappointed because I thought it would be coming out, but maybe they're saving it for later in the year. We'll have to talk about that right away, but let's just read the list off and then I'll get into it. Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick will be coming to 4K Blu-ray. Elle will be coming to 4K Blu-ray. Hell's Angels, directed by Howard Hughes, will be coming to 4K Blu-ray. Always wanted to see that film. The Breakfast Club will be receiving a 4K Blu-ray upgrade. Burden of Dreams is getting a 4K Blu-ray. And then, of course, House Party will also be getting a 4K Blu-ray, which we talked about a couple weeks ago as being hinted at, but now it's officially official. And we'll start there because I do believe that this means we won't be getting House Party 2, House Party 3, and Class Act on 4K Blu-ray from the Criterion Collection anytime soon. So I don't know what that means for those sequels and for Class Act, which, all those movies star Kid and Play. They were really big in the early 1990s. And House Party, the original, is like a window into the early 1990s hip-hop culture. Those movies, all of them are very significant for that time period, like pre-1995. Even though House Party 3 might have came out in like 1996 and has one of the best Bernie Mac scenes in it, that movie is historically significant, so it makes sense that would be coming from the Criterion Collection. I just selfishly, I want them all. These movies are kind of important to me. When me and my wife first started dating back in 2011, some of the first movies we ever watched together was The Other Guys, starring Will Smith and Mark Wahlberg, directed by Adam McKay. But then we also really got into the House Party movies and Class Act, and we just had so much fun with those movies, but you could never watch them on physical media. I believe at the time we watched them like on Netflix, and now you can't get them on Blu-ray. They've never been released on Blu-ray, but we will be able to get House Party on 4K Blu-ray. But again, selfishly, I want them all, so I'm hoping that maybe like the rights are in someone else's hands and they can just get Blu-ray releases. I don't know, but I'm really excited. I don't want to bury a lead. I am very excited. House Party's coming to 4K Blu-ray. I just want them all. I want it all. So a little disappointed, but it's okay. Eyes Wide Shut. Obviously one of Stanley Kubrick's masterpieces, the very last film he did in 1999 with a married couple at the time of Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, and apparently he really wanted to test that relationship because he is Stanley Kubrick, one of the most famous New York films that is shot in London. I love this movie. It is a masterpiece. It's Stanley Kubrick after all. Coming out in November, it's kind of a Christmas film, comes out right at the end of November, so I am very excited for this one. Obviously, I also, very selfishly, thought that we might be getting Lolita on 4K Blu-ray because I just want to have every Stanley Kubrick movie on 4K Blu-ray, and there aren't many left, but we're getting Eyes Wide Shut. That's one of the big ones, and it's finally happening. And The Breakfast Club receiving a 4K Blu-ray upgrade is awesome as well. Haven't bought that yet. I will buy that, put it in my collection. That is my father's all-time favorite film, so I've watched The Breakfast Club a ton. It kind of makes sense. My father, I believe, graduated from high school in 1984, and I think it's the same year this film came out, directed by John Hughes, one of the most famous films of the 1980s. I personally am not the world's biggest Breakfast Club fan. It wouldn't be my favorite John Hughes movie. That will always be Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, followed by Uncle Buck, but I wasn't a teenager in the 1980s. In fact, I was born in the 90s, so, sometimes the tropes of the 1980s as far as, like, really being a teenager there, because it's kind of hitting, like, a real sense. Like, that's the thing about John Hughes is he really did understand teenagers, especially teenagers of the 1980s. So I feel like kids who grew up in the 1980s can relate just a little bit more to the Breakfast Club than I can, even though it's very quotable. I can absolutely appreciate the film, and I will be grabbing it on 4K Blu-ray. So in my opinion, another great month by Criterion, giving me what I assume will be day one releases. And I believe November is also the same month we have the Barnes & Noble's 50% off sale. So that means you could probably get all three of these for 50% off. And everything that came out in October, like Nightmare Alley's new 4K Blu-ray release, that's a 4-disc set. You'll be able to get like Altered States, all the movies that have come out in September, like This Is Spinal Tap, and then all of these movies that are coming out in November. So you really get a smoking deal there, because Criterion releases can be a little bit expensive. But for the most part, it's worth it. Sometimes they take the lazy route on audio, which really does let me down. But they usually do put their heart and soul into these releases. Obviously, the Breakfast Club will just receive a visual upgrade. So if you have the previous Blu-ray, probably won't be that much of an upgrade. But if you're like me and you don't own it, this is a pretty awesome time to finally grab it on 4K Blu-ray. And that's not all that was actually announced this week. No, apparently Saw 2, 3, and 4 will be coming to 4K Blu-ray. The original Saw had already come to 4K Blu-ray. So did Jigsaw, Spiral, which is, believe a lot of people might not realize, is actually still in the universe of Saw, coming from the book of Saw they put. Chris Rock's in that one. Pretty good summer horror film, actually. And then obviously Saw X has already come to 4K Blu-ray. The original Saw, that 4K Blu-ray was a little bit controversial. I remember when it came out, it was like a little bit too bright, and it kind of ruined some scares. I actually haven't grabbed that one on 4K Blu-ray yet. I still just have my Saw 7 or 8 film collection. But we'll get Saw 2, 3, and 4 on 4K Blu-ray. 3 and 4, take place in the same exact timeline. Saw 2 is probably the second best Saw film in my opinion, maybe third now, because Saw X was actually really good. But back when the Saws were coming out, like that was like at my peak movie going time. So every year I anticipated a new Saw film coming out in October. Went to the theaters to see it every single year from the time the first Saw came out. I live on Long Island. One of my favorite days in my entire life was going to see Saw in theaters, then going to Dark Side Haunted House on Long Island. Just a phenomenal day with my cousin and my stepdad. We had an absolute blast. Kind of became a Halloween tradition. See the Saw movie every single year. And that's what we did. And Saw 2 was great. Saw 3 and 4 started to get a little shaky. And then after that, I think they go, what's that guy's name? The cop that... Terrible acting, by the way. I just can't remember. But anyway, they kind of start going into his storyline. That kind of becomes the last half of that Saw, the original series. And it doesn't necessarily work. But the first 4 Saw films, they started out really good. Then they're like, all right, after that. The acting will never win any awards. It's really, kind of torture porn, which I get. And those will actually have some Amazon store exclusives, 4K Steelbook, so if you want to grab those as well. So that's pretty awesome. Coming out just in time for spooky season. Maybe a good time to finally revisit the Saw series. The series that I'll be revisiting this year, though, is the Nightmare on Elm Street series, with those 4Ks coming out at the end of September. So that's like the big one where I'll bang out every movie in the franchise this spooky season, which is coming up really soon, in my opinion. It starts on September 1st, so we're just right there. Just got to get through a few more days. And then the last bit of news is that there's going to be an Alfred Hitchcock 15-film collection coming out from Universal. And if I am correct, these are the same 15 films that were released in the Alfred Hitchcock collection, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. Now, I only have Volume 1 and Volume 2. I probably will grab Volume 3 now just to complete that, and it's probably pretty cheap at this point, and I am afraid it might go out of print just because they might try and focus and put all of these discs in this one big box set now that they have coming out on October 14th. I'm not entirely sure, but this is something that will appeal to people who don't have all of the Alfred Hitchcock films on 4K Blu-ray yet. But if you already have like 10 of them like I do, you might be like, that's a little bit of a waste of money, even though it's in this beautiful packaging. Universal usually does a pretty good job with their packaging, so it's pretty nice. But they did a great job on the first collection, so there's just really no reason for me to go out and grab this one unless I was able to like get rid of Volumes 1 and 2. But I probably will just end up grabbing Volume 3 and completing that Hitchcock collection. And then I probably will have every film that Alfred Hitchcock has had released on 4K Blu-ray on 4K Blu-ray. There's still a ton of them that haven't. I mean, we don't have like Dial M for Murder or Notorious or anything like that, Lifeboat, any of those movies on a Murder on the Train, all those kinds of movies. We don't have them on 4K Blu-ray yet. So eventually we'll get them. I assume we will, but we'll have to wait and see. And not Murders on the Train, Strangers on a Train. What am I thinking? I guess Dial M for Murder. I don't know. My mind's all over the place. But that's it. But that's gonna do it as far as the news goes this week. Let me know, what are you guys most excited for? Are you guys excited for The Mask, Eyes Wide Shut? Let me know in the comment section below. And while you guys are down there, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video if you could. We also have channel memberships, guys. So if you want to become a friend of the channel, a producer for the channel like Harvey Scott, Ben Rondo, and John Doe Juggalo, you could do that. Or you could even become a channel director like Stone Gas Man, Nicholas Head, Frank from Frank's Media Reviews, Uncle V, and Kevin Kruger. Or you can even bump it up to the channel bankroll tier like Mr. Smelly Potato. But of course, guys, if you have no money to throw my way, don't worry about it at all. I just appreciate all of your support, and I just want you guys to get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.